They didn't scream. They didn't fight. They didn't even take their phones. Their car was found locked, keys still on the seat. Everything they needed to survive left behind. For 11 years, no one knew where they went. Until a group of explorers opened a forgotten mine and found 2 sleeping bags at the bottom, sewn shut. What happened in the missing hours between their disappearance and their deaths is so disturbing, investigators still can't explain it. And the person who did this was never caught. Before we continue, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Take a moment to tell us in the comments where you're watching from. You're part of this community, and we'd love to hear from you. The story begins. Ethan Cole and Marissa Vaughn weren't reckless people. They didn't chase danger. They didn't flirt with risk. They were the kind of couple friends described as normal in the best possible way. Ethan was 27, a junior architectural designer with a habit of overthinking everything. Marissa, 24, worked long shifts as a pediatric nurse and compensated, with laughter that came easy and loud. They'd been together for nearly 2 years, shared an apartment, shared routines, shared plans. That June, they decided to escape for a weekend. Nothing extreme, nothing remote, just a simple loop north, Santa Fe, the Sangre de Cristo foothills, a few scenic pull-offs, and home by Sunday night. They packed light, tent, sleeping bags, camera, snacks. Ethan joked they were glamping without the luxury. They left Albuquerque early Friday morning in Ethan's silver Honda Civic. The car was clean, recently serviced, and painfully ordinary. No one noticed anything strange. No arguments, no secret fears, no goodbye that lingered too long. They were last seen Saturday afternoon at a roadside fuel station outside Española. Security footage later showed them buying gas, water, and a bag of trail mix. Marissa studied a folded paper map while Ethan paid. They looked relaxed, unbothered, alive. That was the last confirmed moment anyone saw them. Marissa always called her sister on Sunday nights, always. When the call didn't come, no one panicked at first. Cell service in the mountains was unreliable. Maybe they'd stayed an extra night. By Monday morning, neither of them showed up for work. By noon, their phones went straight to voicemail. By evening, fear replaced patience. Missing person reports were filed. Police traced their phones, both powered off since Saturday evening. Their bank cards, unused since the gas station purchase. Search teams were deployed along the expected route. Days passed. Nothing. Then, 1 week later, a forestry ranger found the car. It was parked at the mouth of an old service road deep in the Carson National Forest. The kind of road locals used decades ago and forgot. The Honda was locked. Inside, everything was untouched. Wallets, cash, phones, camera. Camping gear still neatly stacked in the trunk. The keys lay on the driver's seat. No blood, no damage, no sign of struggle. It looked as though Ethan and Marissa had simply stepped out and vanished. The discovery of the car should have answered questions. Instead, it shattered every theory investigators had left. The vehicle wasn't abandoned in panic. It wasn't hidden in haste. It was parked deliberately, angled just off the dirt road, tires aligned, doors locked. Someone had taken their time. Search dogs were brought in within hours. The animals circled the car, sniffed the tires, the door handles, the trunk. Then they picked up a trail. 2 overlapping scents. Ethan, Marissa. The trail led away from the car, deeper into the forest. For nearly half a mile, the dogs followed confidently. Then the terrain changed. Rocky ground, exposed roots, dry creek bed. The scent vanished, as if the couple had stepped off the earth. No footprints beyond their own. No tire tracks from another vehicle. No drag marks. No broken branches. Just silence. Helicopters swept the canopy. Ground teams searched ravines, caves, abandoned cabins. Every mine entrance marked on historical records was inspected. Nothing. No clothing. No blood. No remains. Investigators quickly ruled out the most obvious explanations. They hadn't gotten lost. They hadn't run away. They hadn't been robbed. Every survival item, water, food, shelter, was still in the car. Their phones hadn't moved. Their money hadn't been touched. The idea that 2 adults would voluntarily walk into the wilderness without supplies made no sense. The case grew colder by the hour. Detectives began working backward. Had they stopped to help someone? Highway impersonation was considered. Criminals posing as law enforcement to gain compliance. That could explain the lack of struggle, but there were no reports of fake police activity, no matching vehicles, no similar cases nearby. Another theory suggested they'd wandered onto private land. Northern New Mexico had no shortage of isolated properties, cabins owned by people who valued solitude more than legality. Someone could have confronted them, forced them, but again, no witnesses, no shots heard, no signs of violence. The area swallowed secrets well. Investigators canvassed every gas station, diner, campground, and motel within a 100-mile radius. Surveillance footage was reviewed frame by frame. Nothing suspicious. Witnesses remembered a silver sedan, but couldn't remember who was inside it, where it went, or if it was followed. The search expanded for weeks. Volunteers poured in. They walked until their boots tore, climbed until their hands bled, called names that echoed back unanswered. By July, hope had begun to rot. By August, it was gone. The case was declared cold. Photos of Ethan and Marissa hung on corkboards in police stations, faces frozen in a happiness that now felt cruel. Their families refused to accept it. They hired private investigators, filed public appeals, maintained a website that begged strangers for information. Every few months, a lead would surface. A possible sighting in Colorado. A man who claimed to recognize Marissa at a hospital. A trucker who swore he'd picked up a couple matching their description. Each lead collapsed under scrutiny. Years passed. The world moved on. Ethan and Marissa didn't. Their story became internet folklore, shared in forums devoted to unsolved disappearances. Theories multiplied. Some believed they'd encountered a predator who hunted tourists. Others thought they'd stumbled upon something illegal. Drugs, weapons, something worth killing for. The most unsettling theory gained traction slowly. That they'd met someone local. Someone who knew the forest. Someone who didn't panic after killing, but planned. When the sheriff's department received the call from the cavers, no one expected closure. The mine wasn't near the car. It was nearly 50 miles away, accessible only by rough trails and back roads. When the sleeping bags were raised to the surface, investigators already suspected the truth. The medical examiner confirmed it within days. Dental records matched. Ethan Cole, Marissa Vaughn. 11 years later, they were finally found. But death had not been kind or simple. Ethan's skull showed massive trauma. A single, devastating blow to the back of the head. Immediate death. Marissa's injuries were different. Fractures in the hyoid bone. Compression damage to the cervical vertebrae. She had been strangled. Quietly. Up close. The brutality suggested sequence. Ethan was neutralized first. Marissa was dealt with after. But the most disturbing revelation came from insect activity analysis. The bodies had not been placed in the mine immediately. They had decomposed elsewhere. For at least 24 hours, possibly 48, someone had stored 2 bodies. Somewhere safe, somewhere private. Then, only after time had passed, did they sew them into sleeping bags and transport them into the mine. This wasn't impulsive. This was controlled, calculated, and deeply personal. The discovery answered how they died. It did nothing to explain why or who. The killer had known where to hide them, known how to move them, known a mine no one else remembered. Someone who blended in, someone who waited, someone who walked free for 11 years, and still might be. The mine didn't just hold bodies, it held intent. Investigators stood at the rim of the shaft, staring down into a darkness that had swallowed 2 lives and kept their secret. For more than a decade, the location alone rewrote everything they thought they knew. This wasn't random violence. This wasn't a crime of opportunity. To reach that mine, you needed more than luck. You needed knowledge. The access road was unmarked. The trail leading to it barely existed. Even longtime locals admitted they'd forgotten the shaft was there. Whoever brought Ethan and Marissa here didn't stumble upon it. He remembered it. The autopsy had created a new timeline, one far more disturbing than the original disappearance. Ethan and Marissa were killed within hours of leaving their car, but their bodies weren't hidden in the mine until 1 or 2 days later. That meant the killer had a place, a structure, a shed, a cabin, a garage, a basement, somewhere isolated enough that 2 bodies could remain undisturbed. This eliminated entire categories of suspects. That meant the killer had a place, a structure, a shed, a cabin, a garage, a basement, somewhere isolated enough that 2 bodies could remain undisturbed. This eliminated entire categories of suspects. Detectives theorized the first moments. Ethan stops the car, maybe for directions, maybe to take a photo, maybe because someone flagged them down. No struggle, no resistance. Authority or surprise did the work. Ethan never saw the blow coming. Marissa did. She watched and survived long enough to understand what was happening. Strangulation was intimate, silent, intentional. The killer didn't panic. He finished what he started. Forensic experts examined the sleeping bags obsessively. The stitching wasn't decorative. It wasn't symbolic. It was functional. The thread was thick, cheap twine, sold in hardware stores everywhere. The knots were uneven, inconsistent. This wasn't done by a craftsman. It was done by someone trying to contain, to prevent leakage, to make transport easier, to reduce scent. The act of sewing was slow, deliberate, time-consuming. Whoever did it wasn't afraid of being interrupted. That fact alone terrified investigators. Behavioral analysts built a profile piece by piece. Male, physically strong, comfortable with violence, likely lived alone or had access to private space, likely familiar with death, hunting, slaughtering animals, or manual labor, emotionally detached, organized. He didn't return to the car, didn't steal valuables, didn't leave trophies. He wanted erasure, not recognition. The forest was his accomplice. Police cross-referenced property owners within a 50-mile radius of the mine. Hunters, retired miners, foresters, seasonal workers. Criminal records were checked. No matches, no alibis that broke, no evidence. The sleeping bags yielded nothing. DNA was degraded beyond usefulness. No foreign fibers, no fingerprints. Time had done the killer a favor. Witnesses were re-interviewed. Memories failed. 11 years had erased too much. One idea refused to go away, that Ethan and Marissa didn't just cross paths with a predator. They crossed into his space. A man who believed the woods belonged to him. A man who didn't tolerate intrusion. A man who enforced his rules. Someone who still lived there. Someone who watched the investigation from a distance. Maybe even participated in the searches. The thought chilled everyone who considered it. The case was reclassified. Not disappearance. Double homicide. But no arrests followed. No suspects were named. The families finally buried their children, but not the questions. Somewhere in northern New Mexico, a man woke up every morning knowing he'd beaten time. He had taken 2 lives, hidden them, waited, and walked free. The mine was sealed after the investigation. The forest grew quiet again, but it never forgot. The mine was sealed within weeks. Steel bars welded across the entrance. Warning signs bolted into stone. Coordinates removed from public records. Officially, it was about safety. Unofficially, it was about burying a truth no one knew how to face. Because once the bodies were found, the real horror was no longer what happened to Ethan Cole and Marissa Vaughn. It was how easily it could happen again. Investigators were haunted by one detail more than any other. Why that mine? There were dozens of places to hide bodies in the forest. Ravines, sinkholes, abandoned sheds. But the killer chose a vertical shaft, deep, sealed, forgotten. That choice spoke volumes. It suggested experience, not just with the land, but with disappearance. He didn't want discovery delayed. He wanted it prevented. The mine wasn't a panic move. It was a final solution. The missing 24 to 48 hours remained the darkest hole in the case. Somewhere, 2 bodies lay hidden while their families searched and prayed. No evidence ever surfaced of where that place was. No bloodstains discovered. No suspicious cleanups reported. No neighbors noticed anything unusual, which meant the location was either completely isolated or disturbingly normal. A garage no one entered, a shed no one questioned, a property no one searched. It meant the killer lived among people, smiled at them, spoke to them, went unnoticed. Years after the discovery, investigators quietly re-examined reports of hikers who had felt watched in the same region. Campers who heard footsteps circling tents at night. Drivers who claimed someone tried to flag them down on forest roads. None of the incidents rose to the level of a crime. None could be linked conclusively. But together, they formed a pattern too faint to prosecute, and too disturbing to ignore. There was no confession, no letter, no slip of the tongue. The man responsible never bragged, never sought attention. That restraint was perhaps the most chilling trait of all. He didn't need validation. He needed control, and he got it. For 11 years. And counting. Today, the case file is thick. Autopsy reports, maps, timelines, psychological profiles. Everything except a name, Detectives still review it occasionally, always ending in the same place. A forest road, an abandoned mine, 2 sleeping bags sewn shut. No witnesses, no answers. Just the certainty that evil doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it blends in. Somewhere, someone knows what happened in June 2010. Someone remembers sewing thread through nylon in a quiet room. Someone remembers the weight. Someone remembers the sound of bodies hitting stone. And they've carried that memory every day since. The forest kept the secret. The mine hid the proof. And justice never came.